Although the American wisteria was introduced much earlier, it was not until 1816 when this particular plant was introduced from China. This is Wisteria sinensis, the Chinese wisteria. And it was only a matter of less than 10 years later, when it started to flower in various parts of the UK, that people looked at this and thought, wow, what a plant. And in modern terms, it went viral because it was exported to the USA, to all parts of Europe, to Australia, New Zealand, South America even, and even South Africa. It's a wonderful plant. There was a trial done in the Netherlands, and this particular plant was given the name prolific. And nearly all Wisteria sinensis that you see around, if it's not got a cultivar name, it's likely to be this one. Short racemes, flowers quite close together. It's ideal for planting on a wall of a house because you get a mass of flowers before the foliage comes along. Lovely scent. Oh, if you could only sniff that through the camera, fantastic. All wisteria flowers flower from the base down to the apex. And you can see here 1 or 2 flowers finished at the top, whereas down at the bottom there's still some to come out. It gives an extended flowering season for the plant. Another Wisteria sinensis cultivar that was first imported from New Zealand is this one called Amethyst. It has slightly darker flowers than prolific and is perhaps the most highly scented wisteria of all. Lovely plant. In Japan there are 2 species of wisteria. This one here, Wisteria Brachybotrys. In Japan it's called Yamafuji, the mountain wisteria. And unlike the Wisteria sinensis, if you look at the flowers closely, the panicles are short, they're broad, and individual flowers are quite large. But this is probably the most scented wisteria next to Wisteria sinensis Amethyst. It's got this lovely dark colour, and set against the emerging coppery foliage, it's a wonderful plant. Another selection of Wisteria Brachybotrys is this one called Showa Beni, selected in the Showa period in Japan, and it is the most pink flowered wisteria. The common name for it in Europe and the West is the silky wisteria, because if you look closely at the leaves there's tiny little hairs on there which are absent from Wisteria sinensis. The other species of wisteria from Japan is the Noda Fuji, the Wisteria floribunda, and this was introduced by a German physician called von Siebold when he was working for the Dutch East India Company. And there's more cultivars of this particular species than there is any other wisteria. This one here is very commonly grown in Japan, and its name is Kokuryu, which means black dragon. Besides a wide selection of wisteria cultivars of floribunda from Japan, different ones have arisen in cultivation in the West. And this particular one is called Lawrence, and this was raised in Canada. And it's got medium length racemes and wonderful sort of, not really blue flowers, but bluish mauve coloured flowers. This cultivar of Wisteria floribunda is an iconic one in Japan. The Japanese name for it is Kiyushaku. Shaku being a length and Kiyu is 9, so it's 9 lengths. And these flowers can elongate to a metre in length. At the moment they're just beginning to flower, as you can see at the top of the plant, whereas down at the base here you've got flowers yet to come out, and the gaps between each flower elongate as it goes down. So in another couple of weeks this plant will be down to here, nearly a metre in length. Wonderful scent, and Peter Valder, when he did his book, said that one of the greatest experiences in horticulture is to be underneath a pergola covered with this plant, scenting the flowers and listening to the bees humming on a sunny day. And he couldn't be more wrong. It's a wonderful plant. Now, not all Wisteria floribunda cultivars have got these long racings. This is a very short racing form here, similar in length to Wisteria sinensis, but tinier flowers, quite dark. It's one called Domino. Very useful for growing on walls, and for a pergola is a bit short in the length of the racing. So a wide variation within Wisteria floribunda. As with the Showa Beni of Wisteria Brachybotrys, there is a pink flowered form of Wisteria floribunda, and this is called Hon Beni. Beni in Japanese is red or pink coloration, and it refers to that. Not a strongly scented one like Kyoshaku, but a lovely pink coloration. Looking at an individual flower, you can see the darkness in the coloration is mainly down to these pieces at the bottom, the wings and the keel. The flag, or standard at the back, has that little yellow marking in the centre, and this is what the bees see as ultraviolet colour, not yellow, and they're instantly attracted to it, and when they alight on the flower they push the keel apart, exposing the stamen and the stigma. So they'll collect pollen there and pass it on to another plant. Now Wisteria, not every flower ends up with a pod on the Wisteria. If it did, it would be too much and overcome the plant and cause it too much stress. So very few out of all the hundreds and thousands of flowers on the plant actually end up in a fruit pod. Wisteria floribunda has sported double flowers, and the cultivar that's been in Japan for a long time and introduced to the UK is one called Yei Kukuryu. Yei meaning double and Kukuryu black dragon. So this is a double black dragon. And when I first started collecting Wisterias along with my friend Mark Liebert in Belgium, we were searching for other double sorts because we read of this report in Japan of a second one, which we eventually did get hold of by a different sort of means, and we ended up calling that one Double Trouble. And in America, a man called Ed Schramm raised one called Ed's Blue Dragon, and also in France 2 new doubles have been raised, and Mark in Belgium has raised 2 more as well. So from when we only had 1, we're up to 7, all fairly similar. But this, from a distance, on a plant well covered in flowers, looks the darkest of any Wisterias. Now, another Wisteria floribunda cultivar that was named by myself and Mark Liebert and Marion Badger is this one here, Kimono. And I made the mistake of saying this was my favourite Wisteria on the BBC Gardens World programme, and you can't get it for love of money on any nursery now. But it's a wonderful plant. It originally had an invalid name called White with Blue Eye. As I mentioned previously, the eye on the standard of all Wisteria flowers is yellow, because that's the ultraviolet that attracts them. But if we turn that over and look at the calyx at the back, it is a bluey mauve. So I can understand why somebody who didn't understand the flower called it white with blue eye. Anyway, we decided to rename it Kimono. It has the most gorgeous scent of any of the Wisteria floribundas. Oh, beautiful. My original Wisteria collection, which you've just been looking at some of the cultivars, is now just over 20 years old, and I've recently collected many more sorts. So down here you can see 114 posts in 2 rows planted up with Wisterias. So in 2 or 3 years time this will really look quite fantastic. There are lots of new sorts in there as well.